Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary with the Get Some podcast. And my guest this week is...
This motherfucker Gary.
Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Gary Owen with the Get Some podcast. My schedule we'll start with my schedule like we do every week. Naples, Florida, this weekend at Off the Hook Comedy Club. That's November 24th, 25th, and 26th. Next week, December 1st, I'm in Kansas City at the T-Mobile Center with Cedric, DL, Eddie Griffin, Felipe Esparza. That's next Friday, December 1st. And then December 2nd and 3rd, I'll be in Atlanta at the Atlanta Comedy Theater. And December 8th through the 10th, I'm in West Nyack at Levity Live. December 21st through the 23rd, I'm in Denver, Colorado at the Improv. December 29th, I'm in San Antonio at the Tobin Center. And as always, December 30th and 31st, I'm in Dallas, Texas at Texas Trust Theater. Let's just go into January. We're already end of November. So January 5th, 6th, and 7th, I'm in Ontario, California at the Improv. January 13th, I'm in Jacksonville, Florida. January 14th, I'm in Fort Lauderdale, Florida at the Hard Rock. And then January 18th to the 21st, coming home, Cincinnati, Ohio, baby, at the Funny Bone. And then we're going to go back to Cali, first time ever at the Irvine Improv, January 26th through the 28th. And it's crazy how I got into the Irvine Improv is last year around February time frame, Russell Peters was at the Irvine Improv, and I stopped in to say hi to him. Ended up doing a guest set, and then I guess they started getting emails and texts. The Irvine Improv was like, I remember they emailed my agent like, "What's with the Love Fest with Gary Owen?" So I guess when I went up, people started asking, "Hey, is he ever going to come here and perform?" And so my apologies. This is very unprofessional, I should say. I always put my phone on Do Not Disturb during my podcast, and I forgot to do that. So that's how I got that gig. They was like, "We want to bring him." So I'm coming for the first time. Orange County, Irvine, January 26th to the 28th. So going back to my schedule, so I've planned this Monday Night Football, this December 4th game with Lil Duval since the schedule came out in April or May. So me and him both said, I'm in Atlanta. I was going to be in Jacksonville that weekend, but I got a big offer to be at an arena, Kansas City, December 1st. And then I asked Gary Abdul, who owns the Atlanta Comedy Theater, "Hey, can I come in just do Saturday, Sunday at your club? That way I'm close to Jacksonville." He said, "Yeah, man, come on in." And then me and Duval are going to fly down together on the 4th and have a little fun fake beef. I thought it was going to be Joe Burrow versus Trevor Lawrence, but now it's going to be Drake Browning versus Trevor Lawrence. Listen, I'm not one to jump off the bandwagon. I'm diehard. I'm loyal to the soil. So I'm still all about the Bengals. And why is my phone still dinging? Oh, because the one person I don't have blocked tried to chime in. So I'm not giving up. We got the Steelers this week. That's going to be a big week. We beat them 3 years ago with the backup third-string quarterback. So thinking about Jake Browning, nobody knows what we got because nobody's really seen him play. It's his first start. He ain't really got film on him. Steelers aren't an offensive juggernaut, so they got a hell of a defense. And we'll see what happens. But if everyone says our season's lost, look at the Browns, man. Browns lost Deshaun Watson. They lost Chubb, and they're just chugging along. Like, they're almost a lock to make the playoffs at this point. So, obviously, we lost our big gun, but the good thing is Joe Burrow's going to be on the sideline. He's going to be like an extra set of eyes and ears and a coach out there. And I think we got the right core guys that you're not going to see body language like down and out. We're still in it, man. We're still in the thick of this. I think we're definitely not getting the number one seed, but we still in the mix. Like, we still hold our destiny in our hands as far as, like, getting in the playoffs. So, that's really all you want. look at last year. The Baltimore almost beat us with their backup quarterback. If it wasn't for Sam Hubbard running that ball back, but is what it is. So we'll see what happens. But I'm still going. Still gonna be rooting for my squad. I'm gonna be rooting for. I'm in Naples. Got an Airbnb. I'll be sitting in the backyard by the pool, just watching the game come Monday. And next week, me and Duval will be down there in Jacksonville, rooting for him like no other. So yeah, see what happens. So there's a couple topics I want to get into this week. One, hey, shouts out to Andrew Schulz. There's a nice promo of him for Madison Square Garden of him and his dad. And Andrew's as rough he is around the edges when he tries to go in on people. He's a softie. Literally there's like 3-4 videos out of him out there crying. And I'm the same way. Comedians, man, we a sensitive bunch of dudes. We'll come off as gruff and we'll talk shit about people, but in the end, we're sensitive guys. And Andrew showed he's got a promo of him and his dad, and he's like, yo, I always told you I was going to play Madison Square Garden here one day. And they're walking along the Knicks court, and he goes, so I'm going to play here, like in May at some point. And he said, Dad, you always said I'll see you there. And you see Andrew starting to choke up. And he's like, so I'll see you there, Dad. And his dad's like, you bet you will. And it's such a great promo. And Andrew's such a solid dude and good dude. It's hard not to root for guys like that. And he did it himself. But, yeah, shouts out to Andrew. But he had Jason Williams on his Flagrant podcast. It was 3 hours long, and it felt like 15 minutes. And, man, and it's weird. He's been laying low a lot since he retired. Jason Williams, White Chocolate, Sacramento Kings. That's where everybody, I mean, he won a title with the Heat, but everybody, when you think of Jason Williams, White Chocolate, you think of the Sacramento Kings and the Chris Webber days and the rookie sophomore game when he did the elbow pass, and now people are getting to know he was a quarterback in high school and Randy Moss was a wide receiver and ran West Virginia. And God, when he talks, he just sucks you in. Really similar to TJ Houshmandzadeh. I can listen to TJ Houshmandzadeh talk football all day because he knows what he's talking about. He trains a lot of guys, and he just gives it to you in like the simplest terms. And Jason Williams the same way when he talks basketball. You can just listen to him talk all day because he talks as if he's a fan of the game. And he always says, like, man, how lucky am I that I got to play against Jordan when he was with the Wizards, that I got to play with Shaq, D-Wade, Gary Payton, all these people. And he's a fan of theirs. But what he said was, I got stories for days, man, about so many people. And he's very careful which stories he'll share. And he's always like, I got stories, but I don't want to burn bridges. And I want guys to be able to be like, yo, that's between us. It's like almost like a man thing. Like you keep your stories between you. And when I heard him talking, of course I want to hear some of the stories as a fan. You want to hear dirt. But not to throw people in the bus. You just want to hear the stories we don't know about. But I get what he was talking about. Like, you don't share. Some things it's like cool. It's like a camaraderie. Like when you're on a team like the Heat or the Kings, you've seen stuff. You know stuff about those guys that nobody else does. But that's the cool thing about it. It's between you guys. You ain't got to share all that. And I just respected him so much when he said that stuff. He goes, I could write a book about the stories I got. And we all got them. You know, I'm a comedian. I've worked with it's just the cast to think like a man alone. The stories I got are between me and them. It's not for public consumption. That's for us. That's for when we get together and have dinner or we're one-on-one and we get to talk. Those are stories I got that I hold on to, that I cherish. And that's why when I call those guys, they still pick up the phone. And I don't have any hidden agendas. I don't want to burn any bridges. I don't want to, I appreciate that we got stories that only we can share with each other. And that's what Jason said. And it brought me to that because lately Will Smith, assistant, this guy, when he goes by Brother Bilal, he's been all over the blogs and going on all these websites and these gossip people these gossip YouTube pages and stuff that they make all their life talk about other people. Now I understand if you have if there's a TMZ, that's a business. If I get what they're doing, they just tell dirt and some of that. But when you got these ones that it's just a person and you're going on there talking, I go, who are you? The person, like you don't really have your own identity. Your whole life is talking about other people. That says a lot about you. Like, you have nothing going on that you just want to talk about other people. And it really, not pissing me off, but it's disappointing that, especially this dude, Brother Bilal, is now he wants to come out and he has a book and he's just throwing dirt, basically always doing on Will and Jada. And it's like, the voyeur in me is like, but I really don't care about none of it. And it says more about this guy, Brother Bilal, and you really got to be careful who you can trust these days. I think that's why everyone was so shocked when Chadwick Boseman died, because his circle was tight, they were strong, and they didn't let anything out. We thought he was sick, but we didn't really know. Similar to Charlie Murphy, we thought he was sick. I saw Charlie when he looked sick. I never asked him, and he was still Charlie when he was talking to you. But now this guy, man, this Brother Bilal comes out and wants to say he caught Will doing something with Dwayne Martin and how Jada looked at Will and stuff. And I'm like, man, Will probably put so much money in that dude's pocket, and how quick you forget when either you get fired, things change and everything. I don't ever forget who put money in my pocket and did stuff for me. And that's one of the reasons why I'll never come out and talk smack about somebody publicly like that. Like, I think anytime you're working with people for a long time, there's going to be days like little nuances bother you, or not every day is going to be perfect. But if the relationship comes to an end, the business relationship, I mean, it's like, how dare you talk shit about somebody that put money in your pocket? The audacity. You forget that? Nobody knows you if you're not Will Smith's assistant. I'm sitting here, we're comedians. We got a lot of free time on our hands. So we just listen to stuff. I listened to this interview he did, and I was like, I read through it so easy. He's the one that wants to come out of the closet, for one. You talking about people's private lives. You want to come out the closet. That's obvious. And I'm like, I don't care. I like Will Smith's movies. Every time I met Will, cordial, cool, very welcoming. Like, what's up, man? Like, he knows you. So I can care less. Look at me. Look at the shit I went through with my ex. You know what I mean? It's like, you married to somebody, you know all the good points and bad points about them. And if somebody cheated and you forgave them, that's between you two. It ain't for public consumption. It ain't for everybody to know. And you want to come out and be like, I'm doing this because Will changed and da-da-da. Nah, you're doing it because you don't work for him no more. The money train ended. That's why you're doing it. So stop acting like there's a bigger cause and you want to help people. No, you don't. You ain't going to help nobody. You're just doing it for your own selfish reasons. I've lost, let me see. As a comedian, man, you have openers, right? And I've had 2 different openers that I worked with for a long time. And the one I let go, and I'm not going to say anything because I don't want to give him any shine. I go, he did some dirty, dirty shit as a grown man to throw me under the bus in my divorce. When I found out everything, I was like, oh, he must have forgot all the shit I did for him. He must have forgot all the money I put in his pocket. He must have forgot the TV appearances he got because of me. I mean, he forgot all that. All he knows is he got fired, and when he had first chance he got to start singing and tell dirt about me, whether some of it was true and some of it wasn't. The fact that you did that says a lot about you. And then the other opener I used to have that I let go, he told a lot of shit, but it wasn't with malicious intent. I could kind of forgive him. He's just not the brightest. I'll put it that way. And there's different when you got malicious intent, like you're purposely doing something to throw somebody on the bus, and there's other when you can get manipulated, and you just don't know any better. So it's just, that's what his brother Bilal reminded me of. I was like, you piece of shit. You really, I read right through it. I saw 2 different interviews with him, and I was like, both of them, I was like, he ain't worth. The fact that you got in the inner circle with Will like that, and then you want to write a book. I hope that book tanks. Nobody reads it. It's just ugly, man. And I'm always amazed that people forget the stuff you do for other people, and then they come at you sideways like that. There was a guy a while back. There's a website called Humor Mill, yeah. There's this website, and this guy that runs the website, I loaned him $4,100. It's weird. Like last week I talked about I put my brother into rehab for $4,000, and this week I'm talking about I loaned this guy $4,100. He came to meet me and my ex were still together. This is probably 11 years ago. He came to me dang near crying, tears in his eyes, because he was about to get evicted from his home. And so we came up with an agreement that I'll give him $4,100. And I already know when you give somebody money, you probably ain't getting it back. I'm not stupid. What we did was he said, he has websites and he does stuff like that. He goes, I'll build you a website, dude. He goes, I'll build you a website, and I'll build you like a $15,000, $20,000 website, and that'll be my payment back to you. I said, cool. That's a good deal for me. I was looking for somebody for a new website anyway. So I was like, but long story short, I never got the website. And he kept sending me like templates. It was like 100 templates to pick from. And I called him. I said, Frank, his name's Frank Holder. I said, dude, I don't know what this is. I don't know what these websites are about. I don't know templates. I want you to build a website. He goes, I need to pick something out. I said, I don't know how to do this. Anyways, this dude never built a website, didn't do nothing. I said, just pay me back, man, at this point. So he never paid me back. And then he said he's been depositing money into my account at one point. And I said, I never got it. And I said, well, send me the bank statement. He said, well, we just moved. We can't find a bank statement. I was like, so he never sent it. And then when I had another guy try to get with him to help build a website, give him a second chance, this guy that came back to me, he goes, yo, that guy's like a dick. He kept talking to me like I don't know what I'm doing. So I had to call him. I said, dude, why are you being a jerk to my guy? I'm trying to get you to pay me back without paying me back, and you're being a jerk to the new guy. And he was like, he don't know what he's talking about. I said, well, you don't know what he does know what he's doing? He knows how to pay his rent. And then he got pissed. And then at one point I went to Twitter and I said, yo, Humor Mill Mag, you ever plan on paying me back? And he called me, threatening me. He was like, Gary, I know you tried to holler at one of my workers one time and da-da-da. Just sucker shit. And then I was like, what? Basically, he gave me a softball threat that he would go public, that I tried to talk to one of the girls he worked with when I was married or something. And I was like, oh, I see what you're doing. He goes, I would never do that, but I'm just letting you know I know about it and I should do it. And I was like, it's funny, when you needed the money, you was cool and you was very humble. Then when you got the money, you didn't build a website. Now you're cocky. Now you don't want me to burn your name. And I remember I was on the red carpet for like, I think it was Ride Along. And his company's always got people out there like interviewing people. And the lady goes, Gary, can I get an interview? I said, yeah, tell your boss to pay my money. I said it on the red carpet. She was like, what? I said, never mind. So anyways, yeah, so if you're out there, Frank, I don't know if you want to pay my money back. That'd be great. I've already put it out there. I'm divorced now, so you could still, I guess you could call me out on flirting with one of your ex-assistants or something like that. I don't know who the girl was, but you said you knew her. You didn't give me a name, but you said you knew her. But yeah, it'd be nice. It'd be nice. I've seen you taking vacations. I've seen you out there still doing your thing in the entertainment business. But yeah, I guess I'm divorced now, so you can't really get me in trouble like that. So yeah, if you want to ever pay me back the $4,100, that'd be great. So yeah, Humor Mill Mag. Ooh. So now everybody knows. So anyways, it's funny how people just forget stuff like that. And it brought me back to there's a couple things. The brother Bilal is just a sucker. I don't like how he did that. It's just a money grab. He just wants to sell a book. And then so it's funny, it's like everything came to a head this week. So I was reading that thing about Brother Bilal. It reminded me of the humor mill thing. It reminded me of when you do stuff for people, they forget. And then when you try to call it, the money thing goes back to people really want you to pay. When they ask for money, they're very like appreciative. But when you ask for it back, then you're an asshole for asking for it back. And somebody told me, they said the thing about people when you give them money, and I never expected to get the money back from Humor Mill. I was just more like, you told me you was going to build a website, you never did it. And then when I tried to get somebody to come with you to collaborate to make it easier on you, you were a jerk to them. And then you act like they were the stupid ones, you know? I'm like, oh, my God. And your little softball threat, you know, yeah, it made me back off then, but, you know, not anymore. So you can always pay me back, Frank. But it reminded me of, like, you always hear people say that when they say things like, why do people always give you a hard time when you ask to get your money back? Why they get mad at you? They ask you to loan them money, and then they get mad at you when you ask for your money back. And I realized finally they're mad when you loan somebody money and they don't pay you back and get upset with you when you ask for it. They're not mad at you. They're mad at themselves, and they're mad that you know they ain't got their shit together. That's what they're mad at. I always keep that in mind, like, oh, they're not mad at me. They're mad that I know they don't have their shit together. So that's all it is. That's all it is. And it's funny, the other few comedians, I'm not going to say their names, called me after they found out about the humor mill thing, and they was like, oh, yeah, he's borrowed money from me too. I was like, oh, I'm not the only one. So, yeah, interesting. But it was okay. So last couple episodes of the podcast got kind of deep. I understand that. But it's funny, like last week when I was talking highly about my ex, people was like, oh, it's like you want to get her back. I go, no. You don't understand. I don't want her back, and she don't want me back. She's happier. She says she's happier now. I'm happier now. It's just goes back to I love when people don't listen to the podcast. They just listen to a clip, or they just read the title. They don't really look into what I'm talking about. And there's like, oh, he's in regret now. Now you wish you wouldn't have did all that stuff you did. You lost your family because of it. No. Guys, slow down. I wanted the divorce. I wanted it. And for various reasons, but I just don't see the reason to throw dirt. It's just not going to help anybody. I talked about all the good things about her. I know bad things too. I'm not going to throw it out there. For what? It doesn't benefit anybody. And when you're with somebody for over 20 years, there's a lot of good times, and clearly if it ends in divorce, there's a lot of bad times. So I'm choosing to focus and try to remember all the good times. That's what I'm choosing to do, and I wish more people would do that. But I don't want her back. I don't regret wanting a divorce. I'm happier. Yeah, it sucks that I haven't seen my kids. That sucks. There's no getting around that. But I don't regret it. No. It's just it sucks that you feel selfish for choosing your own happiness. and make yourself happy. Because if you're so unhappy in a marriage, it seeps into every other part of your life. And your kids pick up on it, and my ex-wife picked up on it. And then you finally be like, okay, you feel selfish for choosing your own happiness over this. You're protecting your own well-being is what you're doing. It sucks, but you're a better person because of it afterwards. Like, I feel like I am much better as a person inside and out because of the divorce. And one day when me and my kids do talk, they'll see that, so. But there was a story I told last week that I kind of left everybody hanging. And when I watched it back, I go, I didn't give the whole story. And that was the custody battle with my brother's daughter, my niece. And people were like, well, so you just put her into foster care? So let me just give the full story about it. So what happened was, God, that sounded weird when everybody says, what happened was, so here's the whole timeline of it. So my brother passes away. And I don't realize there's a custody battle. I do know that my niece is staying with my mom and my stepdad a lot. And the mom just wasn't stable enough to give her what she needed, basically. And to my mom's credit, she was trying to step up and do the right thing. And this guardian ad litem, when she called me and said, we're recommending an emergency removal, and like I said, my ex went to the store, got a car seat. We basically was prepping our house for a 2-year-old to move in. And we couldn't say anything. Well, what happened is the judge denied the emergency removal. So she never went into foster care. I know people thought she went into foster. No, the judge denied. The judge said, when they submitted the paperwork, the judge said, look, I understand these aren't the best living conditions, but she's not in any physical harm. She's not getting malnourished. There's none of that. So even though it's not ideal, this doesn't qualify for an emergency removal. So when that happened, I was like, oh, okay. But the reason everyone got mad at me is because there was paperwork that I had to sign that I would take her if the emergency removal went through. But I couldn't tell nobody. So now my mom sees this. She sees my name, and she's like, well, what's going on? And I softballed it. I didn't say, like, they don't think you're a fit mother or anything like that. I beat around the bush with it when I was talking to her. And then finally, when I'm talking to the girl in the court, I'm talking to other people, the guardian ad litem, and they were just telling me, my niece didn't really have the greatest shot with either the baby mama or my mom and stepdad. And the reason is, my mom and stepdad, they had a blind eye. My one brother passed of a drug overdose, but my other brother was dealing and using and stealing and stuff like that. And so my mom's choosing to turn a blind eye to it. Like, I'd always ask her, like, where do you think he's getting his money from? She goes, I don't know. I'd be like, Mom, you act like you don't want to, but you know where he's getting money. And then, so I talked to my ex, and I go, do you want to try to get custody of her? And that's what she was like, yeah. So here's what we did. We sat down with the baby mama first, and we said, look, we think we can give her a better life. We can get her to private school. We can get her into therapy, everything. And to the baby's mama's credit, she was like, yeah, I'm okay with that. And we even told her, we was like, we told her, you can't come over our house because this has to be a place where she can decompress and is peaceful. We can't have chaos within the house. And right now you're just not there. And that's hard to say when you're trying to take somebody's daughter and say, hey, you can't come over though. We'll meet you and she can see you. But right now, just get yourself together, and we got her and she's safe. And it took a lot, but she agreed. So now we had to talk to my mom and my stepdad. And keep in mind, we don't know where my niece is going yet. So we talked to my stepdad about it, and I don't know. He was indifferent. And then we talked to my mom. And my mom, like I said, the first words out of her mouth when I said we'd like to get custody is, are you trying to take her from us? Are you trying to change her last name? And I said, no, we want to give her a better life. And then my mom was like, well, let me think about it. So my mom called me on Monday. I think I asked her on a Thursday or Friday, and she goes, I can't do it. I can't let her go. And I said, Mom, you're in your 60s. This is a 2-year-old. You want to be dealing with a teenager in your 70s? And then I said, it's just, you can come see her whenever you want. We can come bring her to you. And it just got ugly, and it didn't have to be. And my mom thought I was just trying to do, I don't know what she thought I was trying to do. I really was just trying to give my niece a better life. And it just got ugly. And then I just went, I was trying to tell my mom, like, da-da-da. And then my brother got involved. And then I was just like, I told her, like, I don't want him to know where we live. Because here's the thing. When you're in the drug game, like he was, it was like you don't know when somebody's going to retaliate and try to get back at him. Like, I don't need to get into all the details, but he was ripping people off and robbing people, and I was just like, I can't have him around. And she was more like, well, if you can't, they always go back to family. If you can't have family around, then you ain't part of the family. And then it just got, I could get into detail. It just got super ugly. And I just went, I finally was talking to my ex. I'll never forget, I was on a plane. I was at the airport getting ready to board a plane. And I called her and I said, we got to back up. We got to fall back on this. I said, if we take her in and we get custody, I said, it's going to be so chaotic and they're going to be coming for us and they're going to fill her brain with your, Gary and Kenya took you from us. We wanted you. And it was just, it's hard for me to get into it where everything that happened, but she didn't go into foster care. And long story short, what ended up happening to my niece is my mom and stepdad got temporary custody. My brother got busted with drugs. It was in our small area. It was a huge arrest. He got busted with just a lot of drugs on him and money and everything else. So he was living at home. So then my niece got taken away from my mom and stepdad, and she went to her mother for a little bit, and they got taken from her, and she ended up with, on her mother's side, the baby mom, she ended up with her aunt when it was all said and done. So it's interesting that my mom got upset with me for wanting custody. She ended up getting temporary custody, but in the end, she got taken away because the whole reason we wanted her away was from my other brother, because we know he was using, dealing, and robbing. And it was like, just didn't want her around that stuff. When you got a family ravaged by drugs and everything, it's just you don't want her around it. And you try to you don't try to it's weird when you're the brother that's ostracized from the family, and I'm the only one with no police record, didn't do any drugs or anything. But it's like I'm the evil person because honestly, it's when you're honest about who people are is when they get upset. That I've learned that when you say something about somebody that they know is really true, people don't like to look at themselves in the mirror. I think that's why when people say stuff about me on the internet, like dragging me and stuff, it doesn't bother me because I know it's not who I am at the core. It just doesn't get on my nerves at all. But when you try to tell somebody the truth about who they really are and what's going on, they don't want to hear that. They don't want to hear that. So when I'm trying to tell my mom, be honest about my other brother, she don't want to hear it. It's weird. It's like this. It's like blood's thicker than water and family over everything. And then it's just like, nah. And then, my stepdad ain't much better. I mean, he's an abusive dude. He's just, I'm like, oh, that was honestly, between my brother and stepdad, I was like, those ain't the two people you want raising a kid. I was in it. So, and my brothers were in it. Luckily, I got away. My other brother, he ended up turning to drugs. And so it's just like, what do you say? So my niece did not end up in foster care. I had to look out for my family. I couldn't have them around that chaos. I can't have them I just can't have the drugs and stuff. I honestly, in the beginning, I had a blind eye to it. I didn't want to believe it. And then I remember my kids, I think I let them stay all night like 2 times at my mom and stepdad's house. And that was when they were young, like I think like a year, and like they were 3 years old. And I'll never forget my stepdad like came out and yelled at him or something, and it scared him. And we never yelled at our kids like that. I mean, our kids were hyper and everything, but they weren't bad kids. But I remember the way my stepdad's got a big booming voice, and the way he yells, and it goes from 0 to 100, and you don't know why you're getting yelled at or getting yanked up and stuff. It's just like, when I found out he did that, I called my stepdad. I said, hey, you're not around my kids enough to yell at them like that, and you don't have a normal voice. And he was basically yelling at them because they were being loud. And I was just like, he goes, well, what did he say? Like, if you don't want them around, then we ain't got to watch them no more. I said, done. I said, grandparents are usually the fun ones. I hear people all the time talking about, like, I don't know who these people are, the grandparents that are when my kids are around, because that's not the people that raised me. And like, when you're grandparents, you can be friends with the grandkids. You know, the parents were the disciplinarians. But that's what happened to her. She ended up with an aunt, whatever you want to say, in the end. So she didn't end up in foster care. She wasn't taken. My mother and my stepdad got temporary custody. And then before they got full, my brother got arrested. They found all these drugs and everything, and then they found, you can't be having a convicted felon in the house living there. But let me tell you how brilliant. Honestly, this move was on the baby mama's part. I gotta give credit where credit is due sometimes. So one of the reasons my mom and stepdad had the upper hand in the custody battle was the baby mom was living in Section 8 housing. And they said, we're not comfortable with her living in that environment. And so, which is valid. This chick was so smart. She ended up moving in to the trailer park that I grew up in. So that argument kind of went by the wayside, because once she moved out of Section 8 housing and moved into the trailer park, which isn't that big of a difference, honestly. I've never lived in Section 8, but I lived in a trailer park. But my mom and stepdad can't say we're not comfortable with her in that environment because you raised all your kids in that environment. That's where I grew up. I was like, and moved into the same trailer park. I was like, that was a hell of a move. When you're talking chess and checkers, that was a chess move, because that argument went by the wayside. I was like, oh my God, if one of their arguments, think about that. Think about your argument is, I am not comfortable in the environment she's living in, Section 8 housing. Get it. I'm with you. Now, when she moves, you can no longer say, I'm not comfortable in the environment she's living in, the trailer park. Not just the trailer park, the exact same trailer park that I grew up in, that you lived in. She could have moved that trailer anywhere. She could have moved in any trailer park. She moved into I don't know who got in her ear. That was a good move. That was a good move. We're not comfortable with her raising our granddaughter in that environment. The environment you raise your kids in? Oh, checkmate. That was a good move. I can't be mad at her on that one. That was a good move. So, yeah, so that's what happened to my niece. She's with her aunt. And I still get updates, but like I said, I'm estranged with that family because of that custody battle. I don't really talk to my mom. Don't talk to my stepdad at all. I don't really want to talk to my stepdad, but yeah, I don't really talk to my mom because of the custody battle. That's really what kind of ended the relationship with my mom, so to speak. I remember the last conversation I ever had with my mom, last time I ever talked to her was May 20th, 2021, and I went to for some reason I always was in town on the day my brother passed, and I happened to be in town. I usually go to the cemetery on May 20th when I'm in Ohio, and I pull up, and I'm talking a perfect day. It was something out of a movie. It was like birds were chirping, slight breeze, about 70, 75 degrees. And I pull up and I see my mom at the headstone. And I was like, oh my God, that's my mom. Keep in mind, I ain't seen or talked to my mom in 5 years. And it's just her. And I was like, oh, this is like, in your brain, you're like, this is when we like somewhat reconcile. And she's got a blanket. And she's wiping off the headstone, and she looked sad. She looked like almost a broken woman, and I felt so bad because it's still my mom. And I got out of my car, and I stood there and just watched her for 5 minutes, and she kept looking over at me, and then she'd look back at the headstone and wipe it off. Then she'd look over, and I walked over real slow, and I walked right behind her, and we're the only two people in the cemetery. And I got behind her and I just said, hi. And she turned around and just blew up. Started yelling, I don't want to talk to you. And I was like, I'm sitting there with my mouth open, like almost in shock. Like, I don't know why I thought this would be a chance we could talk. It's just me and her. And all I was going to do was ask her if I could sit down next to her. And we didn't have to say a word. We could have just shared that moment with me, her, and my brother Dallas. And so clearly she's still upset about the custody thing. And I just told her. She started yelling, and then I said, Mom, I'll leave. And she goes, no, I'm going to leave. And then she said, and I hope now you know what it feels like when people say shit about you on the internet that isn't true. So I was like, whoa. And then she got up, she grabbed her blanket, and she was, she really stomping to her car. And she looked back and she goes, this is a really hard day for me. A really hard day. And then she sped off. And I'm sitting there just still standing. All this happened within a minute. And I'm just standing there with my hands up like, what just happened? And then I was like, so I had to get out of there. Like I spent like another minute or two, but I kept thinking my stepdad and my brother was going to pull up in pickups and just, I don't know. I'm not trying to be around it. I'll tell you that. So I didn't get to spend a lot of time because I literally was looking over my shoulder like, I don't know if she's going to call them and tell them, and then they're going to head out. They don't got nothing else to do to come get me. So I was just like, I sat there for a few minutes, probably a minute, said my piece with Dallas, and then I just took off. But that was the last conversation I had with my mom. And I just thought we was going to, I don't know why in my brain I didn't think it'd be like reconcile, we're all good, but I thought we could talk and be cordial. And clearly she's still pissed at me over this custody battle. And when she was talking about people say shit on the internet that isn't true, I did an article on BuzzFeed a while back, and basically I just said the guy was talking to a bunch of people from my past, and he tried to talk to my stepdad. My stepdad wouldn't get on the phone with him. And I literally told him, I said, oh, he's an asshole. That's what I said. I said, oh, my stepdad's an asshole. And then the dude put that in the article, and the article's like 8 pages long. And I talk about my stepdad for like a paragraph and a half. And I just said, he's not a nice guy. He's abusive, and I don't really mess with him. I said, he's an asshole. That's why I didn't get on the phone with you. And when that article came out, it was like I let go of the family secret. Like, oh, how dare you talk about, your stepdad like that? That's what my mom said, and my brother. But Dallas, he texted me. He was still alive when it came out, obviously, and he was like, he got it. We were still talking, So, is what it is. So, anyways, this weekend I'm in Naples, Florida at Off the Hook Comedy Club, and next week I am in Kansas City on December 1st, and then Atlanta December 2nd and 3rd. All right, y'all. Yeah, this got a little deep again. Who knew? All right, well, I'll see you next week. This is Gary on the Kiss Some Podcast.